What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/niceguys video. Checking out some questionable opinions on women, relationships, and, of course, society. I was planning to react to a couple of different posts in this one, like I usually do, but I ended up finding a really long, and really nutty, multi-page post, and figured that it would be more than enough to carry me through a whole video. So yeah, I'll go through the post one page at a time, and share my thoughts after each page, to break things up, and hopefully that'll work out okay. This is episode 11 in the Nice Guys series, and I've wasted enough of your time on this introduction. So without further delay, let's get into it.
I told the female who ghosted me, for being an emotionally vulnerable man, some harsh truths, and I don't feel sorry about it. Notice 1. I would prefer men to read this post, and females to click off now. This is not out of rudeness, but out of pure logic, as men are more logical and rational than females, and will be able to understand my point better. Notice 2. To any females who do not follow the demand that answer this: how would you feel if men treated you the same way you treat nice guys? In history, men have always been entitled to sex. Back in the old days of knights, nobles would protect the land from bandits for their fierce warriors, and they would settle negotiations with their logic. Then men would get their females to breed their clans, and they would win their females with the decent strength and kindness. However, in this time we live in a world where the bandit wins, and the knight loses. I was always a nice guy when I was at school. I was a perfect gentleman at school, respectful, and not a loud asshole. But I never got any of the attention I deserved from females. But you know who did get the attention? Fricking loud and obnoxious jerks. It made no sense. I was being a nice guy. Where the frick was my female?
So guys, when I said this post was nutty, did I lie? It's really something else, isn't it? And this is just the first page. Where to begin? We get introduced to this guy's tendency to call women females very early on, in the first sentence, actually. And when I say that this guy loves the word female, I am not exaggerating in the slightest. He must use it like 100 times across the entirety of the post, haha. Needless to say, it's a habit that he would do well to part with, if he wants to improve his success rate with the ladies. Because it's just nails on a chalkboard painful. And I'm not even a woman. So yeah, not a great start. The first real highlight of the post is when he informs us that men are more logical and rational than women, and will thus be better able to understand his point. Which I'm not too sure about. Last time I checked, I was a man, and I really struggled to make sense of large chunks of this post. Maybe I'm just not manly enough, though, my chest not hairy enough, my forearms not beefy enough. Who can say? Kidding aside, obviously women are not just incapable of rational thought, or something. That's nothing more than a tired misogynistic stereotype, with no basis in reality. And once again, if this guy is at all interested in getting women to like him, telling them that they're all morons is probably a bit of a strategic blunder. So who's really failing to think logically here? Not the females, I would suggest. The part about the knights and the bandits was pretty weird. Not gonna lie, I think this guy has been playing too much Dungeons and Dragons, haha. But if the point he's trying to get across is that times were better when women were completely subjugated, and men competed over them through battle, then I'm going to have to politely disagree. Call me crazy, but I kinda like women having rights. And I'm glad that I don't have to go and beat some dude up with a sword to get a date. But that's just my personal preference. The last thing I noticed on this first page was the distinction he draws between himself, the respectful, perfect gentleman, and the loud, obnoxious jerks, back in his school days. I found this interesting because I actually think a lot of more introverted people, myself included, sometimes assume that people who are louder or more socially outgoing are obnoxious, when this is not necessarily the case. Just because someone has a different personality to you, and does things that you wouldn't, does not make them a bad person. Though it can be difficult at times, a big part of emotional maturity is learning to accept just how different people can be, without being bothered by it. And if this post is anything to go by, our friend here has a fair way to go in this regard. Continuing on.
I listened to all the fake advice. The worst being teasing a female. Trust me, they don't like that at all. But however, I matched with a female a month ago. And I talked to her for a good while. Because she had some bad, abusive relationships. And I had been talking to this female for about 4 days. This was a very long time for me, and I decided to request a formal date from this female. She said yes. I was so happy. I had over 15 different date ideas for my first date with a female. Now, a few days before the date, I messaged the female. We had a good conversation earlier, and I believed the lie that females like emotionally vulnerable, good, caring gentlemen. I told her how I had never been on a date, how I had 15 different ideas, and chose the best one, and how I view the world. I was so foolish. She started sending one-word answers. I thought it was because the female was nervous. But nope, she was just being a heartless bitch. I bought new clothes for the first time in a while, got well groomed, got in contact with my estranged brother. It was all going so well. So I show up to the spot of my first date with flowers of this female's favorite color. That took 2 hours to find. And the ungrateful bitch doesn't show up. I was so hurt. I sat in the restaurant all the way until closing. I was simply so shocked at the nature of females. I sent her messages trying to figure out what had happened. I was so freaking pissed that day. Something changed in me, so I sent her some very hard truths. And I know the details of her abusive relationship. And I sent her a very polite, but brutal message, explaining how females do this to themselves by picking assholes. I also told her how, if she notices abuse, she should just leave, and a bit more. I was blocked soon after.
Okay, a lot more to unpack through that second page. I'll start with the "do women like being teased?" part. My general view is that while women do enjoy being teased, it has to be done in a certain way. You have to have a particular kind of playful charm to pull it off. And if you don't have that charm, it's just going to read as hostility. Or worse, creepiness. It also tends to work better if the woman is attracted to you already, than if they are completely uninterested. Because, well, you can't heighten the romantic tension when there wasn't any to begin with. So overall, I don't think that telling just anyone to tease women is a good idea. Because if you have that kind of natural charisma, you probably don't need to be told to use it. And if you don't, you'll probably only get pepper sprayed for your efforts. Haha. The rest of this page was pretty sad to read. Not gonna lie, because it's clear that the dude, for all of his many flaws, did try really hard to get things to work out with this girl. But that's the problem. He tried too hard, way too hard. There's also his rampant misogyny, obviously, but I'll allow that one to speak for itself for now. Haha. But yeah, he just went at this girl way too hard, way too early, and it's not surprising in the least that his fanatical approach scared her off. Like, being emotionally vulnerable is one thing, But you don't just pour your heart out, tell your whole life story, and propose 15 different date ideas with a girl that you're just starting to get to know. I mean, what's next? Picking out baby names. It's just too much. The way this guy turns around and uses his match's prior abuse against her only proves that her instincts were right in distancing herself from him. Don't get me wrong, ghosting someone you've talked to for a while and failing to show up for dates are not nice things to do, and should be avoided where possible. But reading this guy's deranged post, can you honestly deny that she dodged a bullet? In all likelihood, the guy said or did something that spooked her before they were supposed to meet. And his perception of what qualifies as normal or appropriate behavior was just so out of whack that he didn't even realize he had done anything wrong. At least, that's what I'm guessing happened. It's always hard to get a good read on things with only one side of the story. At any rate, let's move on now to the final page of the post.
It just doesn't make sense. These females' actions. They pick bad guys, and blame all men for it. And to prove my point, I saw some video on this social media platform. With 2 million likes, it was making a skit about being in a man's room, who only wants sex, and not to hang out. And the top comment was, the amount of girls who have had this happens to them is scary. Men need to do better. No, the frick, men don't. You females need to start dating nice guys. I don't give a frick that you picked an asshole. It's not his fault. And by the way, females, if you stopped making slut music making, you would be seen different. I also saw a female respond to some Chad's video, making a joke, saying she would love to sleep with him. And this female's profile said, anti-sexual assault activist. Wait, but if a man did that to a female, it's assault and harassment. I don't understand what happens to females. They only go for what's bad for them. The worst one was this slut who said, I wish these boys acted like men. That stupid crap beach has probably ignored every guy. Don't even get me started on the feminist females. Females will tolerate disrespect from chads and assholes, but not nice guys. For expulsion, I support Vladimir Putin's war with the matriarchal demons of the West. As they liberate the Ukrainian people, I would send them all the loonies I make, if possible. It feels good to confess this. And to all the men who stayed, why is the world this way?
Well, that took an unexpected turn, didn't it? Why does it not surprise me that a guy like this would be a Putin fanboy? Needless to say, I condemn this guy, and his support for Russian aggression in Ukraine. Shameful. I guess that means I'm on the side of the matriarchal demons of the West. Which, what can I say, is totally cool with me. Rewinding back a bit from all that though, it's funny how this guy considers himself totally logical and rational and all that, yet when it comes down to it, the evidence he comes up with to support his inflammatory, sweeping generalizations about women amounts to what? Some random comments on some random videos. And slat music. Like, he's hardly making an airtight case. Is he? Oh yeah, and while I don't think it's fair to blame all men for the actions of a few, I also don't think it's fair to blame women for getting treated badly by men. Because you think they should have gone out with a guy like you instead. In fact, I think that's really gross. Women are entitled to go out with whomever they please. But they're also entitled to be treated with dignity and respect, just like anyone else. So let's not blame women for their own mistreatment. Okay. Overall, this guy doesn't seem to be in a good place at all mentally. But what he needs is not to broadcast his outrageous ramblings to the world. He needs help, plain and simple, because some of the stuff in that post was genuinely worrying. So yeah, all I can say to conclude is, I sure hope he gets that help. Because if he doesn't, this doesn't seem to be heading anywhere good. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this post, even if it was a little heavy at times, and that you got something out of my commentary. What do you think? Are men more logical and rational than women? Is 15 different ideas for a first date overkill? Would women be seen differently if they stopped making slat music? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll haunt your nightmares with my good friends, the matriarchal demons of the West. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.